Adar Abhinandan Abhar. Namaskar and a very good evening to all. This is Arpita Srivastav welcoming all my lovely learners of the ACIC on this platform, especially on the project Soj under the aegis of Roots to Bloom along with the Atmanirbhar Bharat learning platform. Well, as you all know, the idea of conducting this wonderful session for all my dear learners is for you to get an exhaustive exposure and an understanding of G20 nations with international professionals on educational shift, intercultural practices, social development initiatives, financial industrial entrepreneurship, CSR developments, and global hands and government supports to public policies and outreach programs. Well, as you all know, that India presidency of G20 is all about human-centric globalization. And this is not said by me. It's been quoted by Mr. Manjeet Singh Puri, a former ambassador of India. Why I said that? Because the topic today relevant is somehow related to the human behavior. So that's what I quoted this quote. And as you all know, that India's journey towards a 5 billion trillion economy will require over 600 million people under the age of 25 years to be equipped with future ready skill sets. And this is, you will be glad to know, this is the dream of all Indians, including by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. And as you know, that with the national education policy of 2020, the Indian government has created a highly supportive environment for skill-based learning. And this is the starting, or I might say, this is the decade for India. And that's why it's very important, because you guys are the future gems of our nation. So it's very important for you all to have this critical information that I shared with you. Well, as you know, the highlight of today's session is that we have a very esteemed guest speaker on our panel, which she is going to anyways surface with her aurora and her enlightened speech. But before I invite her, I would like to give a brief introduction about her. Well, she is Dr. Kasturi R Naik, a visiting faculty B School, an author, a researcher, a research and development consultant, a life course specialist in emotional intelligence. Well, Dr. Kasturi R Naik is known for real-time, forthright solutions to complex people's problems, knows the difference between passion, profession, and purpose, and that has made all the difference to the way she lives her life. She has more than 11 years of academic experience and 5 years of consultancy experience in the field of human resource management, leadership, and team building. She has been associated as a visiting faculty at JBIMS and GNIMS for MHRD and EMBA courses. She has also been associated with V Mentora as a mentor and learning and development consultant. Dr. Naik is also the recipient of multiple national and international awards and accolades for her enriching work in the field of emotional intelligence, personality enhancement, stress management, and leadership development. Her research capabilities are self-proven through the 3+ research paper that she has published nationally and internationally, out of which she got the Best Paper Award in the couple of conferences as well. Well, Dr. Naik has also been honored to play a role of discussion and session chair in national and international conferences, and has also won a Best Paper Track Presenter Award at ABRM International Conference 2015, besides Best Paper Award at IMRC 2016. All her sessions are backed by a lot of research, readings, and introspection. Her teaching interest includes OB, HRM, performance and competency management, learning and development, leadership and team building, and strategic HRM. And in the end, I must say that she's a very strong woman, and an incredible, insightful academician with a multi-dimensional skill set and a beautiful human beings. So not taking much of time, let me have the privilege and honor to invite Dr. Kasturi Naik on board, where she will be enlightening you all on the subject comparative HR laws among G20 nations. Over to you, Dr. Naik.
Yes, so thank you, Arpita ji, for inviting me first and foremost and giving this platform where, whatever is my thought process and the research which we have done, we could come and use the platform to leverage it for the youth. And I need to thank Pradeep sir because he has been instrumental in bringing us all together, and students, you need to owe it to him, considering the kind of time investment which is required, and the energy investment, and very important is the intellectual capacity investment which is required to have such a session. So thanks to him, thanks to Roots to Bloom, and Atmanirbhar Bharat platform, as well as Mindcube and the AICI and GIET University. And all my students, I know it's your exam, and still if you are here, it makes lots of sense. And this shows that you are focused enough to learn and to grow in your career and evolve in your career. So as we initiate this discussion, and suppose if we plan afterwards to bring it live, I just want to start with one very important disclaimer that this all discussion which we are going to have on corporate HR laws, and we are going to compare it with different G20 countries. So we are going to have a constructive discussion, and it is only going to be for educational purpose. So if certain decision has to be taken by you students, or if the company HR will be watching this, if it goes live, there is a disclaimer that you need to consult to the legal bodies because laws keep on changing, and such interactions are just to give us insights of how you can make better use of laws in a humanizing the workplace. So that is a very important disclaimer with which we would be starting. Yes. So over to you, Pradeep sir.
Thanks to
Yes.
for this disclaimer. Of course, this is more required. Why? Because we are talking about the HR laws.
Yes.
It keeps on changing every second, I must say.
Absolutely.
Every second day, there is some different law. Today itself, I can see on that LinkedIn, I found that paid period leave was there announced in Western countries. Okay, and India is still fighting for this. Ranjita is fighting, and actually, our team members also were the part of that particular campaign in India. But this keeps on changing, and that is why this disclaimer. Not taking much of your time, we are just coming to the discussion how, why, what exactly these HR laws are. I would like to know from Dr. Kasturi, you as per se, or what all those indicators are there whenever we are talking about HR laws, specifically in corporate world, specifically if I am supposed to be in any of the organizations. So, what are the major indicators in the HR laws?
Yes. So first and foremost, there are many reports which talk about the future of work, and which talks about the changing and legal environments in the corporate world. So, and the good side for the youth who are entering, like Malti, like Ipsita, I can see here, a positive side for you is that the laws are changing in such a manner that they are making workplaces more fluid. They are bringing in more of freedom, flexibility with alignment in the workplaces. But at the same time, the laws which are bringing in more freedom, more flexibility at the workplaces also require self-governance, also require us to be self-managed and to follow a particular code of conduct. So I would like to start with the, HDI, the Human Development Index. So if we go to see the Human Development Index is a very good reflection of the employment laws, because employment laws enable us to have a regulatory framework and the policies, because many of the students are confused, even my students, when I deal with them and I talk about the laws and the policies. First clarity I want to give you students is employment law is something which is a statutory compliance. Okay, it is abiding by the government on a particular industry. and a policy is something which is used for the execution of that particular employment law. So Pradeep sir and Arpita, like, with your permission, can we initiate with the hiring, because that is the entry point within the organization. And as I was
Yeah,
talking about the Human Development Index, in G20 countries, Australia is ranking 5 there. If we see the G20 countries, and uh, Australia is followed by United Kingdom 18, United States 21. And students, any guesses what would be India's rank? Above 100, below 100, any guesses? You can unmute and tell me. Where is India here? We need to know, right? Because we stay here.
yeah. At least you should know where Tiranga is.
Absolutely. That is very important. That is our dot in the horizon. Yeah.
Any guesses?
So,
Just
any guesses?
you can-
Above
you
or
can.
below 100? And see, there's nothing right and wrong, like I
If
said.
I need to guess, it will be between 1 to 2.
Within 100, I guess.
Within 100. Okay. Very optimistic, Malti. And be very honest, okay? Just because it is our country, let us be honest so that we can improve if needed. It is one more guess, and then I'll give you the exact ranking which we have in India.
Lies somewhere between 105 to 107, I think.
You're close, Pradeep sir. You're close to it. It is 132, 132.
It's
Okay.
not close, of course.
It is 132. So we have to but the good part is, and I'll talk more when we go to the compensation part here. From 2019, we have started, understanding that there is complexity in the employment laws, and there is no structurized way in which we are handling our employees. Okay, because we need to now treat our employees like talent. We need to treat our competitors as our ecosystem collaborators. And pandemic has taught us that we need to bring about these changes. We need to treat the hierarchies in the organization, and we need to convert them into networks. And organizations are now understanding this. My dear students, organizations have stopped hiring for talent now. They're hiring you for competencies. They're not hiring you for talent and for positions. So understand that. Things are changing, and we have 4 new labor codes which have come into existence. The bill has already been passed. 2019, we have come up with Code of Wages. And then 2020, we have come up with 3 different codes. So we'll talk as we move ahead to the compensation policy there. Yes.
But moving on to this particular discussion, it will be better if you guide on what all those indicators are there under this HDI actually.
The indicators under HDI. Yes.
Yeah.
So if we see the basic indicators under HDI, Human Development Index, the first and foremost indicator is the educational level of that particular, the formal education of that particular country, the contribution of the women of that particular country into the GDP. That also matters a lot, and that is also very important indicator. Importance given to the development of skilled laborers, because unskilled and semi-skilled laborers now have the risk of getting replaced by machines. And there is demand more and more for jobs which will require your creativity. If you see the essential competencies for which you are hired, the topmost competency is your ability to work with others. That is the topmost competency, my dear students. So the law is saying ISO certification is given for great place to work at, but that place is not made by walls. The place is not made by the windows and the AC and furniture. The place is made by people like you and me. So it is great people to work with and great work. So law is going to be there. Law is not creating any problem. A policy is not creating any problem. It is there, it is not there, it is the self-governor. So that is also very important indicator. How much are we abiding? How much are we contributing? How much are we being, one important indicator here also I need to mention is diversity, inclusion and equality. That is also an important indicator to HDI, Human Development Index. Okay, so these are some of the important parameters of HDI.
So
Yes.
starting suppose as we are with the students and they need to go on just as an fresher, they will be joining from school campus to the corporate campus. So what will be those laws coming in and how those laws are supporting to the individual and others, and how these laws of course are placed within the brackets of these G20 lessons.
Yes, yes. So as you enter your organization, the first and foremost thing in your appointment letter, in your employment law, you need to check you basically need to check the kind of, structure within the organization. You need to check what is the, what is the category which your organization falls into. That is very important. You need to also check when it comes to your compensation. Many of the company will tell you the CTC package. So CTC is one of the parameter when it comes to your compensation. There is something which is also known as wage rate, which you need to be aware of. And your CTC is the sum of that wage rate and over and above. So just to give you an idea, a company may even charge you for providing an AC in the office, and they put it into CTC. So you should not be, you need to be very clear when you're talking on these terms and conditions. You need to be clear about what is your notice period going to be. Suppose if you want to shift to some other company, you need to be very clear about the bond which you might be entering into with the company, and how are the policies connected to those bonds. You need to be very clear about your career growth. There are certain career planning policies within the company. You need to be very clear about it. You need to be very clear about how your promotions, internal job, internal job postings and everything are going to be done. So your employment and your appointment letter is going to talk about all these things. You need to be also clear about the diversity, inclusion, and equality norms, equal opportunity norms within the organization, especially the females. You need to be very alert. Pay parity, you need to be very alert. If you're doing the same kind of work which your male counterpart is doing, you need to voice it up, you need to speak up for yourself, and you need to be aware, because Pradeep sir and Arpita ji, you might be aware that there is a new act which has been passed in 2023, Pay Transparency Act, initiated by United States, which is making very clear. So initially what was happening is you will come to know your salary package only at the third round of interview. Okay, when you go and you have those HR discussions, but now it is a mandate, and I hope that this mandate will also come in India, where your salary package range will be mentioned along with your job description and your job specification. So that is one good change which might happen, in our country also. This change has been initiated in the countries who are in the companies which are existing in India but have global presence. To name one of the company, it is NES, NESS. They have initiated this change. If you want, you can go and you can check the website. And the other change which I told you, NES is one of the company, they don't hire you for title. They don't make you a CHRO. They don't make you a vice president. They hire you for your competency and they pay you for the work, the actual role which you execute there. Okay, so bring in that clarity, my dear students.
Okay, moving on, of course, once they get to know where I'm going to work actually, at all those occasions usually when they came know about the transfer of their transfer to their positions or transfer to their, of course, capabilities or the work. How they should, how they will come to know, or how other countries are practicing on this.
Okay. So other countries, so I need to mention here United States and United Kingdom, because if you go to say see, even their ranking is very good when it comes to and even Australia and Germany is ranking good in this when it comes to career planning. So what they are doing is they have a policy there, and this is a new policy which has been started post pandemic. And what is this policy? They have different kind of stand up and town hall meetings, and these are the meetings which your team leaders are responsible maybe every 14 days to check with you what is the progress which you have done in a particular job role. And if you have done something over and above, you can demand a job enrichment to your team leaders. And like I said, every time a vertical enrichment might not be possible, because as a country and as a global, like if you see all the G20 countries, we are moving towards more being self managed. So vertical enrichment might not be possible where you are handling multiple people in your team, but horizontal enrichment is possible where you are evolving in your job role very quickly. And that evolve, it can evolve in around 3 years also if you're contributing at from the tactical level, if you are able to contribute to the strategic level. So you can demand the town hall meetings, you can demand the stand up meetings, and there are recontracting of the policies which are happening. And here I also want to mention one more thing, as Pradeep sir mentioned regarding the promotions and regarding new opportunities. Gig economy, have you heard about the term gig economy? So,
Students, please comment on that.
students, you belonging to which fraternity? Management, engineering, technology?
Ma'am, MSc we are doing,
MSc.
like masters. Yes.
Okay, technology. So gig economy, have you ever heard in the newspaper? So don't give me explanation, but सुना है क्या कुछ gig economy करके? There is a new concept which has come into market. Gig economy. So what is gig economy? Gig economy again will bring a disruption in the employment laws. Okay, because gig economy will require people, allow companies to hire people on contract basis, project basis. And you won't believe, but India is ranking 5th year. So China, I think, is leading. Yes, employing more of freelancers. So that's right. So China is leading here. Then we have Brazil, I suppose. But India is also coming into picture, and it is ranking 5th here. It's the 5th country which is also having more and more employees shifting to gig economy in this particular post-pandemic phenomena. So that is also an option available, but that requires you again to upskill and to keep on evolving and learning. So now you cannot just, so now I think even the appraisal policies will go a big change here when it comes to career and when it comes to your promotion. Appraisal on the basis of seniority is not going to happen. Appraisal is going to happen on the basis of merit, on the basis of and like I told you, your team, working in a team is one of the very important competency which you need. Many of the organizations, like I mentioned, the town hall meetings, and I mentioned you stand up meetings, which was initially practiced in international countries. India have started practicing it. Appraisals will also happen where team of people will come together. So suppose if you, me, Pradeep sir, Arpita ma'am, we all are there together and we will appraise each other. That is how it has been there in the organizations now. So it has started now.
So, Kasturji, moving on to, of course, if you are in place at certain organizations and certain positions, how this compensation law actually works in, or
Yes.
what all the changes can be incorporated for these compensation laws, and how countries are following on those parameters.
Hmm. So when it comes to again compensation law, Australia and Germany are doing very well into this compensation laws, considering the transparency. United Kingdom, United States are also there. But I am feeling proud to state that India is now also coming hand in hand. And like I mentioned, okay, in India, what we had was lots of confusion before 2019. There were 44 labor acts. I want to quote this. Now these 44 labor acts has been converted into 4 codes. Okay, so 350 pages were there and 411 clauses were there. Now they all have been summarized into 4 codes, and this is applicable to both organized as well as unorganized sector. Yeah, and this has made understanding the compensation policies much easier for the organized as well as the unorganized sector. So under this, I want to mention 2 things. One of the code is Code of Wages, which was passed in 2019. Another code is Code of Social Security Bill, which was passed in 2020. Now, this Social Security Bill is a blessing for you, my dear students, because this bill has amalgamated, they have brought together nearly more than, I will give you exact number, total 9 acts they have brought together and made it very, very simple for you to understand. Okay, and to bring this further, what practice, because I do consult many of the corporates, and we how the compensation is calculated. So nowadays the organizations are very clear. They have one matrix, which is a RACI matrix, and this matrix will give you your data points and score points, and automatically your compensation is calculated then. So there is lots of transparency when it comes to your compensation. And they have many of the companies have done away with payment of wages, minimum wages, and they have directly connected what are you bringing in my business. They have brought this transparency. What are you bringing to my business? What are you responsible for, accountable for, expert? When I consult you in something, which means you're expert in that. So that all they have bought, and they have been to a level where even the people at the edge have started learning numbers now, getting clarity of how to calculate their contribution to the organization, because pandemic has taught us this, that we need unfiltered transparency, and that is why these bills have also been passed now. Okay, and such bills are passed and things are becoming more clear, because if you don't work and if you don't execute, then you produce or perish. That is what has happened. Even company like Google, it has now given a red coat alert thanks to GPT. So I don't say more about it, but that's the thing. And so we all, of course, we have to be on the toes. But if the people are willing to upskill and learn, then there is lots of opportunities which are going to be available. So focus on your studies, keep on upskilling, and keep on taking advantage of such platforms where you can come together and uh, understand the importance of developing your competencies. Hope that answers
Kasturi,
your question, Pradeep sir.
Kasturi, I would like to know actually for the sake of the students, because they
Hmm.
are very blessed to this these laws. I
Hmm.
would like to understand all these laws which we are talking about. This is for the blue collar job or the white collar job, or of course the gig workers also. Is it like so?
Yes. If we talk about the compensation one, it is for all. It is for unorganized as well as organized sector. And so I said, even the people at the edge, even if you're working in the assembly line, the organizations which are fluid organizations and which are evolving organizations, they have started unfiltered transparency, and they have started making them also being aware. So initially the employees were not aware about the minimum wages, about the payment of wages act, but now the organizations have realized the importance, because self management is the norm. and they have to they have to make these employees realize the importance and learn the numbers, because what has happened is recently one of my friend was sharing, even manufacturing sectors now all the robots are being taking place of even manual workers. So these manual workers, they have to either understand how to operate these robots, and there is a new concept which is cobot, cobot. So there is a robot which is supporting your manual work, and you as an so they provide you with with electronic hands, and then your hands can work faster. But employees buy-in need to be there, otherwise the employees will be fired. And so unorganized workers also are taken into confidence, and learning and development has started at their levels also. But I would give one disclaimer here. It all also depends, like laws are there, rules are there, regulations are there on paper, but it also depends upon the owner's belief systems, value systems, ethics, and all other things, how much that particular owner is bringing the law on paper into practice. So that is also important. And Pradeep sir and Arpita ji, if you allow me, I want to quote one case here.
Yeah, please
So
go
there
ahead.
was, so if you go to see Godrej and Colgate, okay, Godrej
Mhm.
and Colgate was also into turbulence, especially before and during pandemic. But they took the decision of not firing their employees, but effectively and continuously communicating with the employees and making them understand the importance of upskilling. They had to also close down one of the plants, but they observed those people into other plants. Why? Because of effective communication. So here laws were not coming into picture. Laws are there. Law states that you have to take in people. You don't have, no law will tell you that you are allowed to lay off if you cannot save the employment. But they did it. And there was one company in Pune, and I will not name the company because I had told Pradeep sir that we will not talk about any we'll not try to tarnish any company, so I'll not name the company. But this company, my dear students, because why I'm sharing this, because in you I see future entrepreneurs, in you I see future leaders. So this company in Pune, what they did was, they gave their employees Diwali gifts and Diwali notice, Diwali vacation. And the day the employees were going to come back from the Diwali vacation, these employees, you won't believe, were terminated. Okay, laws were same, but it also depends upon who is the owner, who is the founder, what is the philosophy, ideology, belief system of that particular owner, founder. That is also very important when it comes to actual execution of the laws and the policies. Yeah.
Just to relate on
Hmm.
what Dr. Kasturi Madam is actually talking about, and that is why the law is actually there. Suppose on the very second day or very third day, you came to know that your termination is there, and you required to approach to the appropriate authority. So, if the laws are not in place or you are not aware about those laws, how you will act? That is why these laws are actually required to be incorporated in the company. Suji, I would like to know more on this thing. There are certain fixed laws which are applicable to each and every organization, and there can be some flexible laws. So, can you narrate on those? What can be the fixed laws and what can be the flexible laws for the country?
Yes. So, fixed laws, like we talked about the hiring policies and the compensation policies, or even resignation, voluntary resignation, and retirement, voluntary retirement, and dismissals. These all laws are fixed, okay? Notice period. But one new thing where our youth need to be aware of is hybrid work from home laws and working policies. Okay, because now it is very important, and there is no country which has come up with the final draft. Just to tell you, I researched on all the G20 countries, but no single country has come up, because we are still into the phase of pilot and experimentation. We are still experimenting. But work from home policy, generally, as an HR, if you are into an HR department, or even if you are a line manager and you are into finance marketing, you have to recontract your entire IT policy. You have to recontract your entire hiring policy. You have to recontract your entire compensation policy, your entire even POSH, your prevention of sexual harassment policy, because digital acts of sexual harassment will come here when it is work from home. So everything has to be recontracted right from the definition of the workplace. Okay. And suppose if the company is having global presence, and if I am allowed to have an hybrid mode of work, then which is my reporting office? That also I need to be very, very alert and clear, because if my manager is an autocratic manager and is an insecure manager, work from home can also be very hazardous for me then. So these all norms, these all regulations, as an employee, you need to voice out and you need to have it on paper. Okay, because many of the companies don't have this on paper yet. Okay. And just to share with you, one of the organization where we were consulting for developing this work from home policy, we set a boundary for action. Then we asked the organization that let us have a boundary for action. What are the rules and regulations, how you want to recontract this particular work from home policy? We asked them who are the people with whom the employee will need to interact, and how many times offline interaction will take place, how many times online interaction will take place. That is what we asked them. Then we also asked them what is the quality of work. When you're working from home, you need to be hand holded on the quality of work, right? I need to tell you, because I'm not going to sit in front of you and supervise you. So that I need to tell you. And lastly, the statutory compliances, which I told, what is abiding to you, and what is the frequency of your online offline visit required. As an employee, you need to know all these things, otherwise your employer can also use this work from home and show the number of hours being incomplete, complete, and use it for your termination. So as a knowledge worker, you need to be very clear about these all norms. Okay. So that is one of the policy where flexibility has been one of the norm. Hope that answers the
Well,
question.
very nice thing you highlighted, Dr. Kasturi, about the boundaries. I would like to quote one of the examples of one of the companies. It's an IT company of the Bangalore, where they did a very beautiful thing that once it's a standard, we know 9 to 5 is the job, right? And what they did is people, who have time, or people who wants to show off and work hard, they work hard after office hours also. And they made a policy that once the office hours over, you cannot log in on the computers. So that's the thing that they set as the boundaries. They made a rule that 9 to 5 is the job. After that, there is no working hours. This shows again the ethical morality of the person who is heading the organization, that there is a work life balance important in everybody's life. So you have a time for the office, and after 5 you have a time for your family. So go home, there is no point on doing an office hours job. You can again come next day and complete your work, but they have defined their boundaries. So I appreciate these kind of companies who come up with these deadlines. Otherwise, I'm sure we all have fallen in that bracket where there is no definition of hours working, especially in the service sector, because I myself have experienced where 8 to maybe to 10 hours to 12 hours, and can to have a double shift of 16 hours too.
And that leads to your burnout. This takes me back to this health wellness policy. And
Yes.
Germany, like Arpita ji mentioned, Germany with a score of 9, it has an HDI score of 9. So it is leading in this work at work. That is what they have. Their anthem is this: work happens at workplace, or work at work timings only. After that, you have to be with your family. No work is allowed. And in India, Infosys was one of the company, right? Narayan
Yes,
Murthy ji. He
yes,
was the one who
yes.
made it very clear. You don't be in the office after 5.
He,
Ratan Tata was also, very clear about it. So that's very
so it's a
important.
very
And
wise
being
decision where Dr. Kasturi was telling to you all learners that it's your actually wise decision, that how smart you are when you join any of the organization, that who are the promoters, who are the stakeholders, what are
yes,
their ideologies, what they wants to do for the society. Now,
absolutely,
social status of any other companies is also very important, which reflects. And
absolutely.
I'm telling you, that's the new trend that youngsters are looking for.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like Arpita ji rightly mentioned, my dear students, I just want to tell you that when you enter an organization, every organization has a door, okay? So if this is the door, I learned it a little late, but I want you to learn it now only. There are hinges in the organization, and these hinges are your founders. They are the people who run the organization. If you understand their mindset, if you understand their ideologies, and your doors can easily move. And but I want you to understand one thing, do this for transformation, do this for the betterment of the organization and the vision of the organization, do this with a them centered attitude for contributing to the organization, and you will take your organization, your founders, and you may also contribute to changing the ideologies of the organization. And this has happened. Telco is one of the example. Telco Jamshedpur plant.
Yes.
Union members were very stubborn, not ready to, gel with the management, and they had problems in whatever management said. But then there was one of the, engineer out there. That person was not even from HR. And so I asked you, what is your, what are you studying? So even if you are an MSc person, you don't have to be an HR, or you just need to know where is the heart and mind of the people. So Arpita ji mentioned this very good point. Understand and get into the heart and mind of these hinges. Try to create a bond with them for transforming, not manipulating, for transforming the organization, not for your personal interest, but for the organization interest. You will also grow, and the organization will also grow, and you will use the laws and policies for the right reasons then. Yes.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dr. Kasturi.
thanks, Arpita ji, for this lo- lovely,
Hmm.
lovely introduction on the flexible laws, which is in place. That is logging in or logging out of the centers, or of course the computers. Because if the computers are logged in, it means a person is logged in for slogging, and it will
Yes.
go on. It will go on. I can relate on that. It was there with me also, with you also, for all the people who were working. Just to refresh, there are certain fixed laws. Fixed laws means hiring of the person, the training of the person, his or her termination, the compensation given to him. What all the compensation, that is as per the pay parity compensation, PF, EPFO, gratuity, insurance, and other benefits, health and safety hazards. Once we are coming to this sector, that is this particular place, safety of the person, there are certain better, of course, policies which are in place in India itself. So, Kasturi, would you like to narrate on this? What are
So
those
we are
questions
we
for
are
safety? And
Yes, safety and wellness and health. So there is one of the policy for the safety of the workers, which is apna POSH, prevention of sexual harassment. That is one of the policies. Workman's compensation when there is any kind of hazard on the job. That is also a policy. Then for health and wellness, for the women employees, we have maternity policy, which is coming into picture. For males also, the paternal leave policy have been started, and many of the HR are open to keep this paternity. Like for maternity, they have to use those, period of weeks which they have given. But for paternal leave, the HR are being very innovative. And instead of, like in India, if you go to see, giving a paternal leave immediately, and this is where you as a line manager can contribute to the policy making, okay? if I give you a leave immediately as the mother, is delivering a child, the male counterpart, the husband, is not required in the home, because in India we have the mother-in-laws and the mothers to take care of the child with the mother. So paternity leave or the paternal leave can be granted, and this is where revision of policy and recontracting of policy has happened in many of the organizations, where the father can be with the child during his or her first birthday, during his or her first day at the school, during the annual meetings of that particular child. This way, the father can be allowed to exhaust those 14 days of paternal leave. So always understand the policies are for human beings. It is not vice versa. It is not for exploitation, but it is for making work more meaningful and more constructive for the employees. So this is how the paternal leaves are being, reframed. So that is also one of the important leave. And before I forget, when it comes to, your health, your wellness, and your security, how can we forget the IT policy? And it is, again, we have to be very alert because our data is there everywhere. So the country, the European Union is one of the G20 counterpart, which is having excellent privacy and security when it comes to IT. So there is this GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation Act, where European Union is a partner to it, and it is actually not only a passive partner on paper but active partner. But the only problem, because of being a partner to this, is many of the other businesses cannot go and collaborate with European Union easily as they are with India, right? So India is an outsourcing hub for many countries. Why? Because we are very liberal when it comes to the privacy acts and everything. Our data, like I said, our Aadhaar card number, our PAN card number is everywhere. There's nothing to hide when it comes to our data, and it's not good, actually not good, but European Union has done it well. So that is also one of the law and policy which we need to take into consideration.
What Dr. Kasturi ji is talking about is that GDPR, of course, which India is also going to implement very soon.
Yes.
Why this tussle or why this fight was going around for IT law to be implemented in India, or likewise that GDPR shall be there in Indian territory itself, is if you see certain cases or if you see certain news coming around, uh, more or less we are since pandemic and after pandemic and due to these IT interventions on so many platforms, we are now habitual or we are into the social media streamer or a social media user nowadays. Chat GPT is next to video. Okay. But what exactly this GDPR actually is asking for? Suppose I am using your platform. That is, we don't have a search engine as if now. Country is actually planning for, and it's in the of course prototype stage. Very soon, India too will have their own search engine. So we need not to go and log in for the Google and go for it. But still, but once we are using someone else, actually third party platform, we need to know about what information is being collected from that particular country or that particular source, that is the social media platform or any of the platform. Secondly, is this whatever the data is being collected by these people or whatever by the data collected by these sources or resources of the platform, are they authenticated or they validating it or they passing it to other countries or other people? That is why this GDPR actually should be in place, and that is why also our country is also in process of implementing this particular GDPR. So just what all the things are there in place of other G20 nations or other countries that we are trying to incorporate in our territory too.
Yes.
Moving on to the next, of course, uh, IT law is separate, of course, and once we are using to the social media, how these are different actually.
The social media and the IT.
IT.
laws which
All
you are
this is
saying.
different.
Social media, yet there are no stringent laws, just to make it very clear. Considering our population base, okay, considering the way our population is, and considering the benefit, India not having a social media law is benefiting the international countries also when it comes to economy, the economic development. That is why, but like Pradeep sir rightly mentioned, we need to be optimistic, and there will be some code of conduct, some rules, some regulations coming into social media platform also. If I remember, IT Amendment Act 2000, it mentions some clauses connected to social media, but sorry to say, on record, this is only on paper. Now you will also have a 5-year child using a Facebook account, having a LinkedIn account, because what can you do? How can you police that? So that requires parental control, parental supervision, self-governance on our own part. That is still, because considering our population base and considering the economies of scale for other countries, the laws are yet not there.
Just there will be a very refined law coming soon. We will not be having that particular IT law or IT Act that is
It is now getting obsolete, right?
that data protection law will be there in place, where it will be protecting not only to using of IT resources or IT sources. This will be applicable to social media too, like Twitter, like Facebook, like Meta, like LinkedIn or otherwise also, because
We need it.
every now and then we keep on hearing certain instances going around, either with the younger kids or the girls or the ladies, or even so many phishing is going around, uh, uh, like the cyber crimes are going around, or currency. Also. We are losing certain currency also because of this cyber crime. Lastly, uh, if a person is placed, person is there working for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or so, there can be certain instances that there will be a layoff. So,
Uh, so can you repeat your
yeah,
question?
yeah,
I'm not able to
I'm coming back.
comprehend it. Yeah.
We've been into the company for last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years or so.
Hmm.
And once a person came to know about that, okay, there will be a layoff. So this is very disheartening to see or disheartening to actually listen. But the laws are there in place, and what all those flexibilities or what all those other countries which are following whenever they are going for a layoff, or is there any practices, good practices been there for a layoff in different G20 nations?
Yes. So if you say about layoff, many of the countries, and I think India has also, some good companies in India have also initiated this. So during layoff, one thing which I said, like Godrej and Colgate did, they upskill the employees and absorb them into other plants. Otherwise, there is a layoff benefit which is given to the employees. Okay, and different companies give like severance packages, and different terms and nomenclatures are given to these benefits. So layoff benefits are also given to the employees. And the employees are also some of the founders, if they have a very strong belief system and they are people oriented, if the company gets back its economies of scale in shape, these employees are also called back, or the hires of these employees, their sons, their daughters, are called back if there is an employment opportunity available. So that is the practice, like I said. But there are also other areas, gray areas are also existing, where layoff, especially in the private sector, where layoff at any level can happen without any notice also. So that also is there. So there are both the sides, like the world is not white or black, there is a gray area existing also. So that is also there. But layoff benefits are of course available, and the companies, as much as possible, because what happens is, if the layoff benefits is not given, another problem is the company brand image. the NPS score or the Net Promoter Score, and even the customer satisfaction score, the CSAT score, which is a very important KPI or key performance indicator for every business, that is also impacted and affected. Google, if you can see this, that is why Google had to come up with many media and press releases after whatever happened and the kind of image disruption which was happening, because Google is very particular. Google, Amazon, they are very particular about their Net Promoter Scores. What is NPS? How many people in my organization and how many of my customers are my promoters, how many of them are detractors, and how many of them are neutral. They are very particular about it. So layoff benefits, continuous communication do happen. And India also, we have that kind of maturity coming in, even in the small time business owners. Family managed businesses also are understanding this maturity, because the problem in family managed businesses is, what happens is, if you see the statistics, only 12% of the businesses reach till third generation and only 3% reach till fourth generation. Why is this happening? Because stringent laws and policies are not there, boundaries of actions are not there. Okay, and so they are also now understanding that we have to, when we do layoff, we have to be very careful. We have to have the laws into picture, and we have to take care of the benefits which we need to give to support the family.
Yes, just to include my, of course, thought on that. I was listening to Sir Narayan Murthy's talk, and 10 days before, of course, that talk was there. And he was mentioning regarding the financial crisis happened in the year 2008.
Mm.
We all know that was the bad time for corporates and companies. And he mentioned how actually he tackled that challenge, because there was the losses, and each of the companies were facing that loss. What he did is, or what the company, that is Infosys or even Tata also did the same thing. What Sir Narayan Murthy told actually, the top management, they went for reduction of 20%, 25% of the salaries. And by that time, 25% reduction of the salaries, there was no such actually layoff happened in Infosys. So if the chances, that is the ethics actually, we keep on saying
that kind of leadership is needed actually.
Absolutely.
It's
That
all
kind of
about
leadership.
the leadership.
I would like to mention even SRK Diamonds from Surat, Govind Ji Dholakia. He also did the same thing. And Hindustan Unilever Limited. And the benefit for HUL was that when the vice presidents and the CEOs decided that we will give up our percentage of salaries, the employees at the edge, the sales officers, become so proactive that instead of being the detractors, like I said in MPS, they went to the clients and they bought in more and more business, because they considered it like a family, and that's the benefit.
Motivates the team.
Absolutely.
Down the line, the people get motivated that our leader is thinking for us.
That's true.
And if this is the situation, forget about the layoff. There will not be the losses.
Losses will also be not. Absolutely.
That is why. That is why.
Yes. Thanks for mentioning that example.
Just I would like to share one good actually practices happened. I was Googling, of course. This is, are you able to see?
Yes.
Employment Rights Act. Okay.
Yeah, 1996.
I found certain good things during these layoffs, and what all those policies are placed. Just it's an example that how the countries are following. If I see the UK country, whenever this type of situation comes in, firstly, a notice period is to be served. This is also as per the person, as per the time period they have devoted to your organization. This actually goes in. And notice period will be given. A reasonable paid time off is to be given to the person to search out for the new work. This is, of course, a situation where companies are actually trying to support the people. A consultation can be given from the top management to the lower management or the person who is going to be laid off. The option is to be given that alternative employments can be given. Likewise, in this is actually statutory redundancy pay structure where UK is actually following. And what they are doing is, if a person has served under the age of 22, so half a week pay will be given, 1 week pay will be given for every year. For every year, actually, whatever the time period they have devoted, that is, suppose a person has devoted 1 year in that particular unit or establishment, half a week pay will be given to him or her. Likewise, 1 week pay will be given between age of 22 to 40, and of course, each full year, 1.5 years up to the age of 41. This is the basic structure they were following. And what is the minimum payout? This is being capped to $525 per week, a week pay. So they have capped it that at least you have to give it this much amount to the employee, those who are you are going to lay off. Likewise, I found Germany, like Kasturi was talking about. Whenever we talk about the Germany, it's a very good practice that they are following. And there is, I came to know about this garden leave.
Yes.
What this garden leave is actually is, if I wait a while, if I can open it.
It's a very nice concept in Germany, garden leave.
Actually, you need to, what is the practice there is for the garden leave? The garden leave is nothing but see, these all the acts are there. The Civil Code, the General Limited Employment Act, Part-Time and Limited. This Part-Time and Limited Term Employment Act is not there in India. Still, it is going to be a new norm actually.
Even garden leave is not in India. Garden leave
Garden leave is not in India. It's
not
at
in
Germany.
India.
This is
It's in
also of the,
Germany.
this one is at actually Germany. Is all laws. Okay. So part-time and limited term employment act, continuation of Remuneration Act, minimum wage act. Certain laws are there in India itself.
Certain are not.
Certain are not.
Actually,
But
yes.
what exactly this Gordon law leave actually,
Yes.
I would like to narrate here.
So just to mention about this garden leave, like it's like in India, when you're on notice period, you go to the organization, you give your handover, and sometimes they make you work also for more number of hours.
See,
But Germany, they keep it private. You have to be at home, right? If you're on garden leave, which means notice period, you're at home. And
see, Germany,
yes,
if you see Germany, if you are being employed for less than 2 years, 4 week notice period will be given to you. If 2 to 5 years, then 1 month notice period up to the end of the calendar month. If 5 to 8, 2 months up to the end of calendar month. If 8 to 10 years, 3 months. So they have mentioned as per the time period you have actually devoted to my organization or to that organization, the notice period will be served accordingly. So it can be to 7 months to a calendar month. And coming to garden leave concept, of course, she has narrated that you need not to go to offices, but rather you need to search in within your territory or as per your job profile. Those.
And there is a reason, students, why? Because if you are on leave, on notice period, I have a threat as an employer that you may take my data to my competitor, right? So notice period and all the discussions, meetings, you're not allowed to be a part of during the garden leave, during the notice period. And you are told to rest at your home. And that is why it is known as garden leave, because you are requested to be at your home. so that they take care that confidentiality of the employer is not going to the competitor. That is why that garden leave as a concept is come into existence.
Whatever the resources are there with you, either the IT resources or the IP resources, or
Mm,
what all those emails, what all those
yes.
correspondence actually laying with you, you
Mm.
need to transfer it to the second person. And by the time you need to search it out for your next opportunity. So you need not to come, but all these things will be going on side by side. And that is why this is being called as a garden
Garden
leaf.
leave.
So, my dear students, any one of you want to ask something to Dr. Kasturi? So you can ask. Is
By the
Yes,
Bharti,
time
you
ma'am.
want to ask?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. Like,
Yeah, please go ahead.
like being not from management, like I do not have lot more of knowledge about these areas, but
Mm.
still I got to know a lot many things today, and it's a lot more interesting, and also it will help me in my future also. So I have one question, in what matters we have to be upskilled, upskilled to be employable in future times. Like nowadays
Okay.
laws are changing, the practices
Mm.
are changing, so like how we can match the levels of them to of the organizations to upskill ourselves.
Okay, the first thing is if you see the central hub, which is doing research on these competencies, very first priority essential competency which you require is your functional competencies need to be intact. Functional are your technical competencies, the knowledge of analytics, the knowledge of your area where quantitative techniques are implied and applied. Okay, so that you need to be very, very clear when it comes to MSc as a background. Whatever are your functional competencies, especially which you carry out in your laboratories, you need to be very clear about those competencies. And then as you grow up the ladder, you require to build more of your behavioral competencies, more of your emotional resilience, more of your communication skills, more of your assertiveness when you are communicating, more of your networking skills. You need to understand and build that. Like I told, this hinges of the organization, that is networking skills, knowing and going, knowing how to have those difficult conversations. So that all is done as you move up the ladder. And in between both, this is developing a creative and innovative mindset, which requires you, like if you, even if you ask me, and I also agree that Arpita ji and Pradeep ji would agree to this, we also at this age continuously, at least every year, one certification we also go and take. That is very essential, because that is helping you build your creative and innovative mindset, and it lets you know what is happening in the industry. So
See,
start with functional.
sorry to
Yes,
interrupt,
yes.
Dr. Kasturi.
Please,
Best thing
please
is
go
this:
ahead.
everyone has smartphones, right? Nowadays,
Mm,
right? We all operate, right? After every 3 months, 6 months, it gives you upgradation,
True.
technology upgrades, right? You say
mm,
you all use handphones, right? Handsets. What's an upgrade? So simultaneously, when technology is changing with such a you know fast pace, we humans also have to adapt all those things.
actually.
Please continue. I
Yeah.
just wanted to simplify that with
Yes,
a small example.
that's excellent metaphor which you gave, and I'm going to use it now every time I talk with my students. So that is
So
what I
just
was saying. Every 3 months, every 6 months, you keep a goal that you will engage into some new certification, because that is a dual benefit. One is you engage into the certification, you learn something, and second is you meet like-minded people, because there are different people who are a part of that community, right? So you meet like-minded people and you grow your network also, and you can leverage on it then. So these things are something which will help you. I hope I answered your question, Malti. Hope it's clear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
You know, Malti, data analytics.
Yes, I know about it, but not thorough about it. Like I am not in that line.
So next new will be data analytics, critical thinking, and soft skills.
Yes.
Work on these three things.
So it's functional,
In any
like
form.
I rightly said, yes, it's functional, it's you're creative and your soft skills. You have to develop that.
These three things will be a new normal, going to be very soon. All will be actually looking out for how critically you are a thinker and how critically you are going to present yourself. Maybe it can be a Gita, but how critically you are going to present a Gita, that's what it is. The key takeaways for the garden leave is a transition period for employees who are given a notice period for termination, but they will be on payroll, but away from the workplace. Why away from the workplace? This will be treated as under the leave, but payment will be given to them. Why they are not actually entering or why they are keeping away out of these places? Because a protectionist measure is being taken so that sabotage will not be there at work environment, either in terms of the physical property or in terms of IP property, that is email IDs and other IP resources. During a garden leave, an employee is often cut off from physical entering corporate offices, having access to confidential documents or communications with certain co-workers. That is why this is there actually. Coming to here, just what can be. So our discussion as if now for the HR laws or competitive HR laws across the G20 nations are more or less as per the HR laws, what all those things were there or what are needs to be discussed, we have discussed. But I would like to take on suggestions from Arpita ji also and from Dr. Kasturi ji also. Suppose in India, in Indian territory, this layoff is going to be there. And I, you or Arpita ji will be on chair. What will be your decisions once you will go for a leave? What will be the benefits you will be transferring to your people? Arpita ji, first,
You
I
can
would
go
like to
ahead.
listen from you.
Well, first of all, it's not a situation which I wish ever I fell prey of that, to be honest. Let me tell you that. Because it's really a hell lot of responsibility that you own as being a representative of a company. You hold a position and you have to take a decision and then to communicate to your employees where it is difficult for you to retain the best of the best potentials and to segregate the one which are not well contributing to the organization. Well, there has to have an innovative ways of handling the layoff, which I feel could be worked out, as been mentioned or as been practiced by the organization, is that the higher management can shell off some percentage to contribute to the downstream authorities. Apart from that, there can be a period given to them, so that they look for the other opportunities or a basic requirements to be covered by the company. Generally, when you declared a layoff, people have sense of immorality that they don't exist now anywhere. So the mental torture, I must say, the mental stagnation that happens with the employee, it's very important. That's what Dr. Kasturi said, that you have to be very communicative with the employees. You have to tell them that yes, we care for you, but the thing is this, we are not in a situation to do so. So so communication is very important, and in a meantime you should look for adjusting up, you should look for resourcing them up through your contacts, okay, and should give them the leverage so that their basic things can be managed, else they can look for the other options. That's what, as an individual, I can suggest on my.
Kasturi, your takeaways?
Yes. So before I, come to the point of what would I do in case of a layoff happening, I would like to quote Nani Palkhiwala. He was an economist as well as he was a lawyer himself. So in 1984 convocation address, which Nani Palkhiwala gave at XLRI, this address was titled as Obedience to the Unenforceable. Okay. He mentioned that you can enforce a law, but you can't enforce good conventions and good etiquette. Plain legal compliance is the basic foundation. And to develop any relationship, one must travel beyond whatever is there in policies and laws, and something which cannot be enforced, because organization is having a persona. It is people coming together. How as people we are handling conflicts, how as people we are handling situations like Pradeep sir has put us into right now, where layoff, like, I'm getting goosebumps even when I hear about this. Okay. So, obedience to the unenforceable is the mantra in the industrial relations, he states. It defines who you are, and it also defines what you stand for. And in such situations like layoff, a business owner can either just be a bystander and let his organization go and his people go away, or he or she can be an upstander. So here Nani Palkhiwala gave an example of the Indian hotel story of how they handled the aftermath of 26/11. Can you name that
Yes,
particular Indian hotel? And we have Arpita
absolutely.
ji
Yes.
here, and she is one of the legacy part of that particular hotel, Taj. Yeah, the crown of India. So they were the shining example of obedience to the unenforceable. They didn't even care about their lives, and that is why even the employer need to also reciprocate. So towards the end, he says, Nani Palkhiwala says, as we work, as we make and implement laws and policies, our personality is getting created. So my dear students, your employment, or when you become an entrepreneur, I look at you as entrepreneurs of the future. You are not only commercially transacting or legally transacting, it is your spiritual growth, it is your personal growth which is happening there. So the person of the organization is created with you. People come to you not for the money alone, they come to you because what you stand for, and they also come to know what you do not stand for. And so, if such a situation arises, first thing is, of course, trying to absorb the people by requesting the top management that we need to cut off at every level so that everybody is taken care of, at least of the basic necessities. But if that is not possible and the conditions are genuinely very grave, appealing to all the people in the organization, like HUL did. HUL actually told the open, unfiltered secret that we are in losses, and asking people to jump in and help and, to get in business. Or if that is not the scenario, the third thing might be asking the, because every business owner has their collaborators in the ecosystem, taking care that the employees are absorbed somewhere else. So that is a responsibility and the accountability of the business owner. So doing that. So this is what, in case such scenario happens, I would do.
Thanks, Dr. Kasturi, and thanks to Arpita. Just adding on, laws will be there. Either 3 months or 6 months salary will be there, or it should be there, so that a notice period, during this notice period, these people shall actually run on their homes, shall run on their family commitments, shall run all those commitment towards their children, of course, half year salary or 6 months salary. Many claims can be there, a uh, good version of actually supporting to those employees, those who are going to be laid off. because of unforeseen or because of this loss in the company or loss because of other reasons. But more primarily, the communication within all the people. It's not only that you are going to communicate with the person whom you are going to lay off. If you communicate this to others, those who are there, other players, those who are there, might be the occasions that others will come in, jump in and support him. That okay, please cut down mine 5%, mine 5%, mine 5%. There will be 100% for that chap or that particular person. So this can be a good way, of course. And if this cannot be the situation, organization can do support on, to handhold on until unless he or she is not getting second opportunity, or they can absorb their other dependents in different level of hirings. That can be one good way. Not taking much time, we are beyond, of course, I think 1 hour or so. Requesting Samitra to actually present certificate of gratitude to our Dr. Kasturi ji, today's guest speaker. And by the time, requesting Arpita ji to go for a closing.
Well, I'm very happy to see the smile on my learners' faces. They really enjoyed the session. That's the proof, right? So on behalf of my learners and on the behalf of my team, I really thank Dr. Kasturi Naik for your valuable time and for enriching all my dear students. And in the end, I must say that this topic was very important and you really did justice and had a very vast discussion. As you can see, it was such an interesting, we never realized the time. So thanks once again. And in the end, I must say that we all, as a human being, should keep ourselves, our ears, eyes open, because we live in a world where everything is just in our one tap. So till then, take care, goodbye, and keep growing and keep enriching yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks to Dr. Kasturi and thanks to all our learners for joining us. Although you guys are having exam, but still you took time for 1 hour or so. That too in the evening, 7:30 to 8:30. That is the precious hours for actually learning and for exams. But I do appreciate you guys. Thank you. Closing for the day. We'll be meeting soon for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and best of luck, dear students. Thank you.
Thank
Best
you,
of
ma'am.
luck.
Thank
Best
you,
of luck
ma'am.
to all of you.